Welcome back. For those of you who have been following along for the last couple of weeks, this is our next installment of what I've been sort of calling just sort of the Ask, Learn, Do interview series in honor of my dearly departed, our friend, Rabbi Matthew Bellis, who we lost way too early. We didn't have nearly enough years with him, and honoring his legacy because he was an educator. He was a terrific educator, and he would send his students off every day with daily announcements of ask good questions, learn something new, and be kind. And when I was at his funeral 10 days ago, it was like the call and repeat from his students and faculty as they were talking about it during the eulogies. And so I figured these are two guys who I know are going to add a lot to the conversation, have something, hopefully something brilliant to add. I won't put too much pressure on them. Uh, uh, but um, but I think that both Curt and Damon will bring some interesting perspectives. And on top of that, these are two guys who are huge sports fans. My friend Matthew was a tremendous sports fan. Unfortunately, he grew up in Vancouver, so he was a Canucks fan and a Blue Jays fan. But to his credit, not a Yankee hater. So Curt and I would have been getting along with him just fine. So this is a little bit of legacy building and keeping his memory alive. So, Curt, you want to tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name's Curt Anderson. I live in Lakewood, New York, and I'm a husband and a girl dad. And during the day, I try to help manufacturers stop being the best kept secret. So that's what I do.
Excellent. And Damon?
Yeah, Damon Pistulka. I live on the other side of the United States in north of Seattle, and I've got a couple kids that are a little bit older, but like try to still be a good dad and a good husband and those kind of things. But I try to make Curt look good and help manufacturers stop being the best kept secret.
Well, as we both know, Curt needs as much help as possible looking good.
Amen, man. Well, when you don't have any hair, you need all the help you can get. So,
Well, in the spirit of congeniality and all the conversations that the three of us have had along the way, I know my friend Matthew would appreciate a little bit of teasing and ribbing. So let's sort of get into it. And the first piece with this is what is a good question you have asked or been asked? And I'll throw it to either one of you to go first.
Go ahead, Curt.
so okay, a question. So we do tons and tons and tons of like subject matter expert interviews, we call them. And so we have a little LinkedIn live shows, Michael. And a question that I have found one of the most powerful icebreakers, great way to connect and really make that emotional connection is I love to start with who was your hero when you were a little person, little guy, little gal growing up? Who was your hero? Michael, I remember asking you, and one of your answers, I think you gave a couple, and one of your answers was a mutual sports fan or sports player, Thurman Munson, that we both love. So, who was your hero growing up? And we've had amazing, incredible from parents, uncles, aunts, a teacher, a coach, someone on a TV show, a sports hero. And so I love that question.
And I think that it probably starts to reveal a lot about the person by understanding who they emulate or have respect for. So I think
And
that's
we never tell the person that the question's coming. So it's they are never prepared for it.
Hmm.
It's impulsive. And so it's like it's your first reaction, that my mom, my dad, that teacher, so it's like it really stirs up and it's just a blessing hearing the answers that we get. So that's my question I have for you.
and I remember that when we did the live stream, the question you threw at me, which I wasn't expecting, in addition to who's your hero, what would be your walk-up song?
What's your walk-up song? Yeah.
Right. So, that requires, right, it requires a little bit of mental agility
That's right. That's
to
right. We do it on purpose.
yeah. How about you, Damon?
I mean, and we don't ask it a ton, but I always like to understand why people do what they do.
Hmm.
I mean, because it seems like a basic question, but when you go across the walks of life, why do you do what you do? What really inspires you to do what you do? Because you learn a lot about where people got, and especially when we're talking to business people and executives, um, it's interesting watching the wheels turn because
Yeah.
a lot of people get to a point and they have forgotten maybe, but when they remember, it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah. And I know that, the three of us all deal with small businesses, that why they do what they do, right? Bringing it back to the why, right? It's the Simon Sinek,
Yeah.
approach of, start with why, because the what and the how become that much easier. And small businesses, they often, it gets lost in the sauce sometimes. They're so embedded in the day to day that they forget, why am I doing this in the first place? So, thank you. Great perspectives. And in terms of the learning piece, what's something new that you have learned or you would still like to learn?
Oh my goodness, Michael, my list is too long. So, another language and a musical instrument. But I'm going to go here. So we just had Damon and I just had a conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Darcy Eichenberg. Tons of love for our friend Darcy. And she gave us just a master class on leadership, and it was leaders leading leaders. Okay.
Hmm.
And the word that was kind of a drop the mic moment was she talked about as a leader, self-awareness. And as you help other people become leaders, I felt this was a great aha moment. Not to have them be a leader like yourself or necessarily how you want them to be, but how can you elevate somebody to really shine their superpowers? She has a book called Red Cape Rescue. And so it's about how do you help somebody put on that red cape? So I think having the self-awareness to help others is something I'm on a quest for this year.
Oh, that's great. And full honesty, I have Darcy on the schedule for next Friday for an interview.
Yeah, she told us.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to have that conversation with her as well. So
Yep, yep. Tell her we sent some love to her on our little our quest today. So
I certainly will. And David, how about for you?
What have I learned or want to learn? I think that it was really a great conversation with Darcy today, and it continues to drive home what I really want to continue learning. There's a lot of technical things, right? AI, I mean, I just want to be this whole hog into that and understand what that's about. But personally, it really is about self-awareness and personal development. I mean, you read, there's so many good things that are out there, and when you begin to understand how your personal development and your lack of or and focus on will help you succeed as a happier person, happier father, better parent, whatever you want to talk, and more successful in the professional life. That to me is just such a driver behind what I want to do every day is I want to learn more about that. And then like some of it is, like Curt said, self-awareness, some of it's just new skills, different ways to do things. And but the personal development for me is huge.
Excellent. I very much appreciate both perspectives. I think that we would all do really well with a little bit more of that in the world. And I think the same goes for sort of asking those questions. I think asking good questions, asking any questions really, right, starts to create that connection. And I think that when you look at what's happening in the world these days, we could use a little bit more personal connection and a little bit more one-on-one time with people, because I think that when you have a conversation, it's hard to hate somebody. It's hard to, when you have a face-to-face conversation with them, right? You ask them a question and they open up, and all of a sudden you go, oh, person's not so bad. There's something in there that I can gravitate to and understand. So you may not agree with them on everything, but I think both asking good questions and learning something new are fundamental to building relationships. So, and the last one, which I think is starts to look at the action piece. How are you being kind, right? And how are you being kind in the most broad or the narrowest sense of the interpretation?
So I'm gonna share this. So we're older guys, right? Looking around the stage, we're older. So you guys remember there was a kind of a self-help guy back in the like 80s, 90s, Wayne Dyer. And I don't know if you guys remember Wayne Dyer, and he used to like do like
Yeah,
these
man.
PBS specials. And so he introduced a term to me that really was a game changer called radical humility. How do you live in radical humility? I was like, man, like, you can, it's you're not being humble if you're like, hey, I'm humble, like it's so radical humility. And then I'm in this men's group and we're like, well, what about radical forgiveness or like radical gratitude? How do you live in radical gratitude, right? So Damon and I were talking with a colleague on Monday, and she did the word of the year thing, right? And her word of the year was vibrant. And I always do the word of the year thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of keeping this myself, but my word of the year for this year is wisdom. Not that I have it, it's that my lack of, and I'm not even hungry for it. Like I'm starving for radical wisdom. And Damon, I didn't even tell you this. The next day, I get a package in the mail from a colleague, a gentleman works at an agency I work with called IMEC. He sends me a package. I wasn't expecting it, didn't know he was sending it. I open it up. It's a book. The title of the book is Radical Wisdom. That's
Hmm.
a gospel's true story. And so, Michael, I guess if I'm answering your question, how to be in kindness is like, how can you be in radical humility, radical gratitude, just being thanks of all things. But I'm on a quest this year for, I don't know if I'll ever achieve, I will never achieve radical wisdom, but I'm certainly going to dive. It's a wonderful book that I'm diving into. So that's my long-winded answer to your question.
So I'll tell you, Curt. So my friend Matthew is a rabbi, and in the there's a concept in Judaism which is you don't have to finish the task, but you are responsible for pursuing it, for moving the ball forward, right? So you may not achieve radical wisdom, you may not achieve radical humility, but it doesn't mean that you can throw up your hands and go, I can't ever achieve it, so I'm done, right? It's your responsibility to move that forward a little bit, however however far you can get it. So I think that I think it's a great way of thinking about kindness, because that extends not just for you, it's for everyone sort of in your environment as well. So
Exactly right. So that's, yeah. And back to like Damon's point, the more we work on ourselves to be that better spouse, husband in our case, be a better father, to be a better business person, just be a better community steward, that type of thing. So yeah, so that's to be more kind. Those are the things that I'm working on.
excellent, I love it. And how about for you, Damon?
Well, for me, kindness, it does really start with gratitude because I think if you don't start out with being grateful for what you got, you start with an edge. It's in the wrong way, but really, then behind it is empathy. Um, I mean, I lived a lot of my life, no patience, not really caring what the other person was doing in some of the roles in some of my years, and that really is something that you got to understand where that other person is at,
Yeah,
what they're doing. Um, and because I think that's for me is empathy and patience is really how I'm trying to do it. It doesn't mean that you can't be, you can't like in business, you still have to have, there are still guideposts that we need to operate in, but you can be very kind and very patient and empathetic with the people. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. And in life though, personal, um, it's huge. It's huge
yeah,
because
and I think that we the three of us all work with probably comparable client bases in terms of their backgrounds uh, and I think if you had a conversation with some of them about what empathy is, right? They mistake empathy for sympathy, right? It's like, oh, you're
yeah,
right, you want to feel bad for something, and I'm like, no, 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 that's not
no,
what empathy is. Empathy is being able to essentially put yourself in their shoes and see things
yeah.
from their perspective. And I think that it sort of goes back to that original piece of building those relationships, building those connections. If you can start to put yourself in somebody's shoes, start to see things from their perspective, see what they're going through, Man, how powerful is that to all of a sudden, breaking down some of the barriers and being able to really have a real connection with people.
Yeah. Yeah. What I've found by doing that is that how much my ego was playing into the fact that, it's just take for example, you get cut off in traffic, right? You're mad because that person cut you off in traffic, right? Your ego, you should never cut me off in traffic. I'm driving, this is my lane, all that good stuff, right? But you don't know. That person could be on the way. They could have their wife could be in the car having a baby. They could be running to the hospital because their spouse is dying or their friend is dying. Who knows what the heck's happening? But your ego jumps in the way of that, and empathy really helps you to just go, okay, let's just step back a bit because my ego doesn't need to be involved in this, and we really need to understand them better so that we can communicate. First of all, one of the things that it's helped me with, you don't get worked up about nearly as much stuff when you understand. They may have said something that was very offensive, could be not, not true, whatever it is, but you don't know why they're saying that. We don't know. And it just helps in a lot of ways.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's and we don't have enough of it, right?
Yeah.
We let our own interests get ahead of perhaps building those connections and those relationships, and as a result, it just makes things infinitely more difficult. So,
Mhm.
um, so in the spirit of when I was on your live stream, of you guys throwing some curveballs at me, so what is right, because we're at the beginning of the year, what does 2025 look like? And what will success look like in, we'll call it December 31st of 2025?
So success for me. So I have a daughter that's going to be heading off to college, and so success for me is that I'll survive the first 3 months of empty nest. So on January 31st, if I'm okay, or December 31st, that's my sole focus. Personally, my wife and I are super excited about this new transition, figuring that out. And professionally, I just have the honor and privilege of working closely with Damon, and just really fortunate and excited about, we're just on a mission to help improve, make other folks, their businesses better is our quest. And so hopefully we achieve that. So that's my 2025.
Well, and in about 9 months, you're gonna call me and we're gonna have a conversation because we're gonna be accepting you into the Empty Nesters Club.
That's right, Michael. I'm gonna be calling Damon. I'm gonna be calling you. Because
Yeah,
I had my daughter very late, so I have a lot of people I can lean on. And so yeah, so that's my new chapter coming in September.
yeah, it's not always easy, and I know that you have spent how many mornings driving back and forth to the ice rink, right? So
Amen, my friend. Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
all of
So
a sudden,
it's
all of a sudden, you're
yeah,
getting a lot of time back in your life.
I'm getting a lot of time back. That's right.
Do something with it.
So then I can pick up, like you said, what am I learning new? I can pick up that new language. I can start playing
Yeah.
another musical instrument. So who knows what I'll do. So
Yeah, excellent. And how about for you, Damon? What does success look like at the end of 2025?
First of all, for me, it's just going to be fun working with Curt this year. I'm really excited to that, and us to be able to move the organization in some fun new directions. That's going to be fun professionally for me. Personally, for me, I'm just on this quest to figure out myself better so I can be a better for everyone, my spouse first of all, and everyone else around me. Because the little bit of work I have done, I've noticed a difference in my happiness in my life, in my engagement with others, and I want to do a lot more of it because that's really what's important.
Yeah. Oh, and I so appreciate the fact that you guys on a Friday afternoon have taken a little bit of time to have this conversation. This is not somebody who you guys knew. You guys would have loved him. He was a lot of fun. And so as we are wrapping up here, who's the sleeper of Major League Baseball for the 2025 season?
dude, that's a great question,
It
man.
is. It is.
You know what? My Damon, I'll take a stab. You know what? I'm going to go with I don't know if I'll call them the Phillies. I'm going to go with I don't know if the Phillies are a sleeper per se, but I'm going to say that it's Bryce Harper's. I think he's finally going to break through. I'm going to go with the Phillies. My first thought was the Mets, but they just spent 700 and some million dollars on a guy that I can't remember what team he used to play for. So I don't think it's going to be the Mets, but I'm going to I'll go with the Phillies as I don't know if a sleeper, but that's who I'll go with for 25.
All right. How about you, Damon?
And you said sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about sleeper. I mean, I don't know the sleeper. I don't know the game well enough to call a sleeper. I mean, I just think that when you look at the Dodgers and the changes they've made, I mean, yes, they spend more money and all that kind of stuff, but it's hard to beat the lineup that they've got. It
Yeah.
really is. It's going to be and a sleeper. I wouldn't even be able to go there.
You
Well,
know, I'll throw one more. I'll throw one more
There
sleeper.
we
So
go.
even though they lost a pitcher, I'll go with the Orioles. I'll say I'm going with Orioles and the
That might be one you
Orioles
can
Orioles had a pretty darn good team this year.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they lost a couple of guys.
they
So
did like they lost a big pitcher, but I'll go with Orioles and Phillies.
and I will tell you, for me, right, Curt and I are both Yankee fans. Juan Soto went from pinstripes to pinstripes. In my mind, I think it's going to work out better for the Yankees than it will for the Mets.
Yeah.
Because, right, from a business perspective, we probably would counsel our clients the same way. I'd
Right.
rather have, if you're going to spend $770 million a year, I'd rather have three players
Mhm.
Yeah.
than one guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a little bit, right? Because you're not going to lose that much in
Right.
terms of productivity. Give
Right.
me a frontline pitcher and I'm good. So
Right.
that's my prediction. My prediction is it's going to work out much better for the Yankees than it will for the Mets with Juan Soto going from the Bronx to Queens.
That's
So
right. That's right.
so listen, I thank you. This is, as always, it's always a fun conversation. I know there will be more of these conversations along the way, and I very much appreciate you guys hopping on to have a little bit of a conversation about, not really work, but it is kind of work, and hopefully our clients get something out of it. And I will certainly let you know when this comes out, probably in a couple weeks.
Well, Michael, thank you. We appreciate you sending you tons of positive vibes for the loss of your friend and just what a testament to the legacy that he left. And I'm going to butcher your life was better that he was in it. That
Yeah.
what I always butcher that quote, but sending you deepest sympathies and positive vibes as you go through this transition with the loss of your friend. So our thoughts are to you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. So have a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, no problem.